Chapter 6 The Whistle. I heard Marcus's mother calling him home to eat, so I started fixing lunch for Punky and me. When Marcus left a few minutes later, Punky came in the back door saying, "I'm starved." "I know," I said, dropping ice cubes into a clown glass and filling it with tea. Punky grabbed the tea and chugged it down while I said, "Wash your hands and face. The hamburgers will be done in a jiffy. Yeah, DJ." Soon I heard a suspicious sloshing in the bathroom, and in a flash I knew Mom had forgotten to hide the shampoo. Punky wouldn't touch a full bottle of shampoo, but as soon as it reached the halfway mark, whoosh, down the toilet. I shot into the bathroom, but he was already replacing the cap on the empty bottle. "Gone," he said as he held the bottle up to the light and looked at the rainbow of bubbles. I groaned. How was I going to wash my hair? After lunch, I told Punky we had to get more shampoo and sent him to shave. "Oh boy," he said, heading for the bathroom. I shook my head sadly. I hated going to the store with Punky because I never knew when he'd take something. He didn't mean to steal, but his idea of a fair trade was to swap one of his treasures for an item he liked on a store shelf. After I'd cleaned off the table and took Punky's medicine down from the cupboard and stuffed it in my pocket, it was nitroglycerin, the same ingredient used in dynamite. Punky and dynamite. What a combination. He came out of the bathroom, plastering his hair down with a wet washcloth. "Ready?" I asked. "Wait a minute," he replied, puttering off to his bedroom, his lunchbox under his arm. I followed, knowing it wouldn't have made any difference if the house were on fire. He wouldn't set foot outside until he had packed his belongings. I didn't offer to help, though, because the unwritten rule, hands off the cowboy hat and the lunchbox. Punky opened the box and removed all the clowns except Jellybean. In their place went the clown glass, a handful of broken crayons, and a small American flag. I'd have to watch him like a hawk to be sure he didn't make a swap. When he had donned his cowboy hat and admired himself in the mirror, he said, "Ready." I didn't dare hurry Punky because of his heart and the heat, so we poked along to the highway. At the intersection, workmen were eating lunch in the shell of an unfinished building. "Hi, boys," Punky called. The men laughed, and I felt their eyes boring into us as we passed. Half a block from the supermarket, I said, "Remember now, all we want is shampoo. No dog biscuits, no toilet bowl cleaner, no toothpaste or aftershave." "Yeah, DJ." The store's big door opened automatically when we stepped on the mat. Punky never could figure out how the door knew we were coming, and it always made him giggle. I took his arm, intending to steer him toward the beauty aisle, but he stopped at a lighted glass cubicle beside the gumball machines. "Look, DJ, Chinny," he said. Inside the cubicle was a big plastic chicken sitting on a mound of plastic eggs. For a quarter, the sign said, the chicken would lay an egg and you would get a prize. I gave him a quarter, which he fed into the coin slot. The light in the cubicle started flashing, and the chicken flapped its wings and let out a series of terrible squawks. Every egg in the case shifted as one purple egg clattered down a chute. My cheeks burned with embarrassment as customers and cashiers turned to see the commotion. Punky laughed and clapped his hands. He pried open the egg, which held a green plastic whistle on a string. Before I could stop him, he stuck the whistle in his mouth and blew, a loud, shrill sound that scared him and made my stomach lurch. I grabbed Punky's arm and steered him down the nearest aisle. My heart was pumping fast. If I have a heart attack, I thought grimly, at least there's nitroglycerin in my pocket. "You have it," Punky said, thrusting the whistle at me. I took it, grateful beyond words that he didn't want to blow it again. After snatching up a bottle of shampoo, I hustled Punky to the checkout lane. Thank goodness he was satisfied with his purple egg. The last thing I needed was for someone to accuse us of shoplifting. Mom and Dad came home with several antiques for the shop, but without the roll-top desk. "It brought $1,200, said Mom, sinking into a chair in the kitchen. She and Dad were both so sunburned they looked like they'd been fried in hot oil. Punky came up behind Mom and kissed the top of her head. He placed his hands on her shoulders and said, "Hi, pretty girl." Grimacing from the pain, she eased his hands away. "How's Punky?" "I'm starved." "Punky Holloway, you're always starved," said Mom, laughing. "How about if we eat at McDonald's?" Dad suggested. "Yeah," said Punky. "Big Mac." I didn't say anything. There'd be too many people out on a Saturday night to suit me. There were 3 flagpoles outside the restaurant flying the American flag, the Missouri flag, and the McDonald's banner. As usual, Punky paused to salute. The place was crowded, but I didn't see anybody I recognized. There was mostly families with small children, all sunburned as if they'd spent the day at the Lake of the Ozarks. Mom and I told Dad what we wanted and went to find a booth. Punky stayed with Dad, and I could see him showing off his coupons to the customers in the line. One lady smiled at him, but the small boy she was holding piped, "Mama, what's the matter with that little man?" The lady turned away quickly and told her son to hush. Another customer, a wrinkled old woman with bleached hair, short shorts, and 6 pounds of makeup, moved to a different line. To me, she looked stranger than Punky. Punky came to the table and said, "Look, DJ, clown," as he showed me a plastic soft drink cup with Ronald McDonald's picture on the side. When he sat down, he stashed a couple of packets of ketchup in his lunchbox. Seeing the purple egg, Mom asked, "Did you go somewhere today?" "The supermarket. We were out of shampoo." Mom raised her eyebrows at Punky. "Gone," he said, dipping a French fry in ketchup, then popping it into his mouth. Punky took forever to eat, and I was nervous. I wanted to get out of there before a school crowd arrived. School. I still had to do math homework, and Avenel had the book. She'd said she lived behind McDonald's, and this seemed as good a time as any to find out where. "I'm supposed to get a book from Avenel Shackelford," I said, sliding out of the booth. "She lives right over there. I'll be back in a minute." I ran through the parking lot and cut across somebody's backyard, hoping it was Avenel's. I went around to the front of the house and was sure of it. The yard was swarming with red-headed, freckle-faced kids. They had to be part of a match set. "Who are you?" asked the little girl who looked to be about 4. "My name's Del Rita," I said, noticing the peeling paint on the house and the broken rails on the porch. "I'm looking for Avenel. Is she home?" The girl stuck her thumb in her mouth and sized me up with her emerald eyes before answering, "Uh-huh." "Would you get her, please?" By then the whole clan had gathered around me. "Would one of you please get Avenel?" Nobody moved, and I began to feel like Custer surrounded by Indians at his last stand. Only these Indians had carrot-colored hair with masses of tight curls, the kind my dad called mop tops. "Are you the lady from the welfare office?" demanded a tough little guy of about 6. "No, I'm a friend of Avenel's from school." "She don't have any friends here," said tough guy. "She didn't have any friends in St. Louis either," volunteered another boy, slightly bigger. "No wonder Avenel wanted to come to my house to study." "Look," I said, "Avenel's in my class at school, and she's got my math book." Still the kids didn't budge. They just stood staring at me with a haunted look in their eyes. At last, someone rescued me by sticking her head out the screen door and calling, "Randolph, who are you talking to?" I turned and looked at the woman who was obviously the mother of this clan, because she, too, had freckles and a head full of tight red curls. Her bulging stomach pushed against the screen, and I realized she was expecting another little mop top to feed. "I'm Del Rita Jensen," I said. "I'm looking for Avenel. She's got my math book." "Well, come on in and I'll get her." I went inside, followed by the whole gang from the yard. The small living room seemed crowded, not because it was filled with furniture, but because of all the people in it. There wasn't much furniture at all, just a dingy old chair, a couch hidden under a raggedy quilt, and a coffee table marred with burns and scratches. The room was clean, but the pole lamp in the corner didn't have a shade, and its bare bulb cast a harsh glare. I remembered hearing a joke about people on welfare having color TVs and Cadillacs, but that wasn't the case at this house. "Del Rita?" said Avenel, coming into the room ahead of her mother. Her face was flushed as if she were embarrassed to have me there. I just came to get the math book. If you're finished." I understood her embarrassment. How many times had I been embarrassed about Punky? "Yes," said Avenel, handing me the book, but not meeting my gaze. "I didn't know when you'd show up, so I did my homework last night. Converting decimals to fractions. It's hard." It occurred to me that maybe Avenel had tried all day to keep the living room clean, so it wouldn't look bad when I came. Even with all these kids, there wasn't a toy or dirty dish in sight, but there was a fresh bouquet of brown-eyed Susans and a quart jar on the coffee table. "I'm sorry," I said. "From now on, I'll do my math in study hall so we won't have to worry about the book." "What'd you say your name was?" asked Avenel's mother, smiling at me. Del Rita Jensen." "Honey, you didn't mention anybody by that name," said Mr. Shackelford. "There wasn't anything to say," replied Avenel, and I felt a pang of guilt. There might have been something to say if I hadn't been so unfriendly. "I better go," I said. "My folks are waiting for me." "Okay," mumbled Avenel. "See you Monday at school." The little girl who sucked her thumb followed me onto the porch. "You have a pretty name," she said. "I do?" As far as I knew, nobody but my parents had ever liked the name Del Rita. "Thank you. What's your name?" "Birdie." "Birdie? You mean like a bird that flies?" "No, Birdie. Gilberty." "Oh, Gilberta. That's a pretty name, too. Will you come back and see us?" "No, I don't think so." "'Cause my daddy stole?" "What?" "'Cause my daddy stole and the police come and took him to jail." "No," I said, confused. I just don't visit other people." "Why?" "I just don't," I said uncomfortably, jamming my free hand into my pocket. My fingers closed around something small and hard, and I pulled it out. It was Punky's whistle. Birdie's eyes lit up when she saw it, but she didn't say a word. She was probably used to seeing things she couldn't have. "Here, Birdie," I said, placing the string around her neck. "This is just your size." She lifted the whistle to admire it, and I turned to go. I was at the corner of the house when I heard a loud, shrill blast. I looked back and waved, and Birdie called, "Bye, Velveeta." "Who is Avenel?" Mom asked when I got back to McDonald's. "Is she in your class? How long has she lived in Tanglenook?" All evening she kept hinting that I should invite Avenel over to the house. I knew she just wanted me to have a friend, but she nearly worried me to death. I went to sleep thinking about Mr. Shackelford's being in jail, and I dreamed that Avenel stole my purse out of my locker. We had a hair-pulling fight, and Bertie jumped out of the locker and started blowing on a whistle. Students formed a circle around us and taunted Avenel. Thief and liar, hair's on fire. When the principal came to break up the fight, all he saw was Avenel writhing around by herself because I was invisible.